I would not be surprised if George Foreman's watching right now because he
Sure.
watches in the morning.
He loves it when we grill people.
He's making his grills and like it when we grill.
That's all.
It's a great piece of work.
Listen, speaking of a great piece of work, the President of the United States sat down famously with Bill O'Reilly at 4:30 Eastern Time on Super Bowl Sunday, and they talked for about 11 minutes. Then after that, Bill O'Reilly asked the president, I got some more questions. Do you mind? And the president said, sure. So what would you like to talk about? Well, as it turns out, it was revealed by the president he is not, despite what some people say, is not the most liberal president in history. And listen to this exchange where Bill O'Reilly really kind of talks about where he's from versus where the president's from and how what is now considered liberal once upon a time used to be just sensible.
I think that you are much more friendly to a nanny state than I am. I'm more of a self-reliance guy. You're more of a big government will solve your problems guy. That's it.
And I disagree with that because I think that what used to be considered sensible, we now somehow label as liberal. Think about it. Social Security, Medicare.
But you're paying to that. It's the freebies that are the problem.
What freebies are we talking about? The welfare actually is worth less now than it was 20, 30, it's worth less than it was under Ronald Reagan.
Take a look at the disability explosion. I mean, it's insane. Yeah. The workplace isn't any more dangerous now than it was 20 years ago. It's through the roof. You know people are conning you.
Bill, the point is we have not massively expanded the welfare state. That's just not true.
Well,
really?
When it comes to disability, you haven't cracked down on it. I mean, that will be one thing to focus on. And for example, it's not his idea for welfare, but what about reforming welfare? I think it's, number one, it was, he seemed very interested in the question. That seemed like a debate that he wanted to have. But it would be very interesting to see how he responds to the dollar figures. When you line up the dollar figures that this administration has spent amongst the revenue that has come in and the fact that we continue to go over budget.
Sure, and I think, to your point, I think he likes a philosophical conversation rather than a practical one in the eyes of many. But that was a heart-to-heart. That was talking Declaration of Independence versus Declaration of Dependence. So Bill O'Reilly got in there again and said, while we're at it, having this honest moment, let me ask you, do you think I've been unfair to you in this interview? And listen to how the president responded.
You think I'm unfair to you? Do you think I've been giving
Absolutely,
you?
of course you are, Bill. But I like you anyway, though.
Okay, but give me how I'm unfair.
But look.
Give me how I'm unfair. Come on, you can make that accusation without telling me.
Bill, we just went through an interview in which he asked about healthcare not working, IRS, were we wholly corrupt, Benghazi, right? So the list of issues that you talk about.
But these are unanswered questions.
But they're defined by you guys in a certain way. But here's what you guys are going to have to figure out is what are you going to do when I'm gone? I'm telling you.
Our ratings were high when you weren't here.
Oh, man. I've been a big money
President Clinton, all right, and President Bush. I gave President Bush a real hard time.
Yeah, I think he really believes that. I really believe that the President of the United States thinks that Fox exists to criticize him. When understand this. If you're in your house sometimes and you say, has anyone seen my keys? And then somebody might retort in your house, hypothetically, I'm not saying it happens in mine, they'll go, I didn't take them. What do you mean you didn't take them? I just want to know where my keys are. If you go up to the President of the United States and say, when it comes to Benghazi, 4 people are dead. We still don't have the answers to that. When did you know? I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm asking you, what did you know? If there was something there that you think needs to get out, this is an opportunity. However, you could look at it as an accusation if that's a topic you do not want to approach. For example, if you believe that Obamacare got off to a bad start but eventually be great, I'd welcome the opportunity to tell Bill O'Reilly and his audience, this is where we started, this is where we are, and this is where we're heading. Instead, he says, there they go with the health care again. There you go with Benghazi again. There you go with the IRS again. No, define it. Tell us why Lois Lerner had to take the fifth. Tell us why your other guy had to hit the road. Tell us why the guy you put in place resigned miraculously last week.
Here's what it comes down to. At Fox News, since the first day we turned the lights out, we have been asking legitimate questions. And we've asked a lot of questions of this particular administration because they have been stonewalling on all sorts of things. You know, whether it's the NSA, the DOJ, the IRS, Benghazi, you name it, we've come up against a brick wall. And I think the president thinks it's unfair that 100% of the TV channels out there aren't simply being lapdogs. We've been asking questions. I think Bill O'Reilly was fair to ask that question. The president may have given his perception, but I feel the president is wrong. I think he's gotten fair treatment here.
In part fair, because it was explained to the American people, and many feel as though when you say we're going to have a transparent administration, we just happen to expect a transparent administration. And when there are questions, we expect clear answers, not opaque sidestepping.
Any answers. Just any answers.
Just the truth.
Why wouldn't they put their press secretary on regularly? Why wouldn't you send out...
well, Jay Carney is on every day. He does a gaggle that turns into a fight between him and Jay Carney and Ed Henry. They do that every day.
And he fights with other guys, too. But, for example, you should
Not
go
so
in...
much.
But you should be able to go in there and hop on all different outlets. And I think what stuns the president more is, to your point, is that nobody's asking these questions at all, let alone those three. How about none? For 2.5 weeks, and then one question might come up out of nowhere, and it kind of brings the president back. I think Bill O'Reilly, we'll find out personally, was stunned to hear him say he's unfair. That's my feeling was Bill was kind of taken aback by that.
You know what, Brian? I think the left has devised this argument that what they bring up, a lot of people on the right and at Fox News, is a bunch of phony scandals. There's nothing to Benghazi. There's no there. Forget about the IRS. There's not even a smidgen of corruption. The list goes on and on. And we'll talk to Bill about it coming up in a little bit.
Right, so we can't ask questions, apparently. Thankfully, Bill O'Reilly did, but we can laugh, right? So I want you to see this SNL skit. We showed a little glimpse of it early on, but this is what we hope that we can at least laugh about things.
I've asked some regular Americans to come out and tell you how the Affordable Care Act will change your lives for the better.
I am psyched for Obamacare.
There you go. I love that enthusiasm.
Because now that I've got free health care, I can get sick all the time. Woo! Free medicine, y'all.
Well, that's not really how it works.
I've stopped washing my hands, and I'm licking hella subway poles. Thanks, President.
Okay, so there you've got a skit or a sketch, whatever they call it, over at Saturday Night Live that lampoons the president and healthcare. It's interesting, Saturday Night Live executive producer Lorne Michaels sat down with Vulture.com and answered some questions. And he was asked, are there any basic rules for what works and what doesn't politically? And he said this: Republicans are easier for us than Democrats. Democrats tend to take it personally. Republicans think it's funny.
Which is why that skit we just saw is a rarity. You know, you get, like, once in a while, you get a little bit of that. But for the most part, it's on the other side, admittedly so by Lorne Michaels.
And over the summer, I had a chance to see Lorne Michaels, and I got introduced to him, and I go say, he goes, I know who you are. You're not mad about that thing we do, are you? I go, no, I just thought I would be smarter and skinnier. And that was it. We just laughed. And then I don't know. He told you heard that they're not doing us anymore? Did you hear that?
No.
Oh, okay.
But they haven't done us for a while.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to get Elizabeth down.
Maybe when you saw Lauren, that was just
me.
it. It's like, oh man, I saw Brian Kilmeade. We got to lay off.
Yeah, there's nothing funny about that guy.
You got a tender spot right there.
Maybe.
Tender spot in him.
Right.
Heather now.